Probably.
Hey,
I just want to throw out there for now, because I did text you this, that the second podcast that I'm listening to for the second time as of this morning at the gym, because I needed to. Jeez. Christianity and the Modern World with Bishop Barron. And this guy's genius, man. This guy's so smart. And it's such an interesting podcast. You got to listen to it. And it talks about so much. And I need to take notes on it because they go from one thing to the other to the other. And when I look at my notes, it honestly confines me too much. So I'm just going to go from memory. But a lot of what they're talking about is the failure today of Christianity and how it's kind of been slipping to the wayside. And a lot of it, there's a few reasons why, but a lot of it is because Christianity, churches, well, you could go back to the Catholic Church's indiscretions of decades with the priests and stuff, and then the cover up and all of that. So that's very well deserved. But churches in general are not asking enough of their flock, if you want to call them flock, but of their followers. And they got into a really interesting discussion about how, this is a world of challenges. It's nothing but a struggle, this life, and it's meant to be. And and people are not accepting the religious point of view of things so much, because why would a God do that? I mean, I'm put forth into all this struggle. He's not helping me. And what is he getting a kick out of watching me struggle? And that's not it at all. It's Jesus Christ died on the cross for as the ultimate struggle and everything. And when you are overcoming something, and when you have faith in God, and it gives you the ability to, in the faith, to go out there and take chances and embrace life, have the hardship, overcome them, that's when you're leading a truly robust life, and you're getting the most out of it. And it also brings you closer to God. That's what God likes to see, you emulate Jesus. And it's not, I'm not doing a good job.
Oh, yes, you are. I'm really impressed. You're doing a great job.
There's so much more. Yeah, there's so much more to it. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Now, here's the other side of it, is that with these, we believe in science people, this bothers me a lot, because actually I've been through these phases, is that there's such an arrogance to that, that most of us know enough now to talk a good argument and believe so much, think that we know so much about the world that, well, you can't have a guy up there be on those clouds because I've been up there in a plane and he's not there. Things like that. So many things like that. And but there's so many things that you can't explain. From my point of view, the older that I get and the more knowledge that I accumulate, the more I realize I don't know, but also the more that I feel and have an instinct and an insight and a feeling about my soul and the interconnectedness that I have in this world. So there's, and a lot of this, it could tie right back into our talks about quantum computing and stuff. Maybe that's our ultimate insight. Maybe that's, in my opinion, maybe that is, we're building God. That is how we get back to God. We are building that engine to bring them here. I don't know, but I know that there's more that we don't know than we do know. But we're just at an era in our life. Oh, and he said it like this too. This is the first era in all of civilized man that has ever thought that they can obtain happiness without a transcendent vessel, meaning without a God, whatever your religion is.
That's interesting. I don't know how true that is. I was just
It's not true. That's the point. It leads you to anxiety. And he says, when you don't have that God, Jordan Peterson agreed. They both went back and forth. When you don't have that God presence, something higher, a higher power than you, that it will be replaced. And it will be replaced with, it'll lead you to little pieces of hell.
I totally agree with that. The part that I didn't agree with what he said was that this is the first society that thought they could have happiness without God. We actually have seen that in history before, where people thought that they could have that happiness. I was just reading about the history of the French Revolution and how the French Revolution started with the Reign of Terror, and that the Reign of Terror included getting the king and the queen. Remember Marie Antoinette? Let them eat cake. They chopped her head off.
Yeah,
They chopped the king's head off, and they chopped everybody's head off. And the whole foundation of their official religion, the revolution, was atheism. And after several years of this French Revolution, they ended up changing their platform, and they said that without God, life is meaningless, and there was no joy in life. It took the joy right out of life, and they could not have happiness, to your point, Perry. And so this has been proven in history, actually. And I think what you're saying right now and what you have said about what you've learned, especially the part about the more that you learn, the more that you've learned that you don't know,
right,
is I think a big part of where wisdom comes from, is being able to admit that we don't know everything, or we don't know a lot of things, and being able to realize that there is a greater power. The Bible actually says the beginning of wisdom is the acknowledgement of God.
Yeah, I believe that there's a huge power in faith. And that, again, I kind of touched on that. They talked a lot about it very eloquently, about how faith enables you to go out and conquer things.
That's a big point.
Yeah, because when you don't have that, you're living in more fear and negativity and anxiety.
And what's the point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no point in going out and taking a risk.
You know what you call that? You call that nihilism. When you remove all the opposite of anxiety is love, and that's where the faith gets you.
That's good call.
And
I've heard
it
that
enables you to move forward. It gives you confidence that God has your back, a higher power. And then to put it in more of a metaphysical way, even if you don't believe in God, but you believe in a spirituality that there's, if you believe that if you think positive thoughts, you operate on a higher vibrational harmony. And there seems to be evidence that is true. And when you're operating in a higher vibration, you attract all those good things at that same higher vibration. And that's what faith gets you. So
very good, Barry.
You're better off having faith than not. Don't rely on just yourself. You'll be in anxiety.
You line up with the Christian faith in so many ways, yes, Barry.
Yes, more and more so as we go along. Yeah. This
thing that you're talking about, the opposite of faith being fear, and a scripture that we were looking at in our Bible study last week has to do with fear, and those that are in fear have not been perfected in love. And if you really think about what you just said, is that love causes you to overcome fear. And you think about a mother seeing her child in jeopardy will run out in the middle of traffic or even a gunfight or whatever, and go and save that child without any kind of fear, because love perfects you to the point of eliminating fear. Perfect love casts out fear. Yes. It's quite a thing. And so when we look at the entire world right now, it's a fearful world out there. And what we need to do in order to overcome that fear is to meditate on that love and that unconditional love that God has towards you. And really in the Christian faith, if we know that God has forgiven us for all of our sin and has caused us to be looked at just like his son Jesus, then what do we have to fear? I mean, there's nothing to fear whatsoever. Just like we talked about last week, if God says that be of good cheer, for I've overcome the world on your behalf, then no matter what happens, it's going to have a good outcome. It's just destined to happen. I was thinking of another scripture and it just disappeared out of my head. But the fact of the matter is, we have so many reassurances from God that all things are going to be okay, no matter how it looks. Even if you're going through a hard time, ultimately you win. You can operate in joy, not just move forward like we just talked about. We can move forward in peace and joy at the same time, no matter what we're dealing with. And all we have to do is just focus on that, and it just happens.
Yeah.